Hi, so at this point in the inquiry, I went to the breadboard. Now, this is kind of interesting. This kind of led me to look up a bunch of things, like as far as how all this works. Um, I guess traditionally, the um, power supply is going to be in these two strips here on the, well, if I turn it this way, on the right and left. So notice this has a plus mark for positive and a minus mark for a negative. Now, it's maybe a little bit hard to see for you, but these particular the holes here each have numbers. So if you look, for example, so this first hole here would be 1A, for example, right here. So this is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E. And underneath this apparatus here are a bunch of metal clips. And if we wanted to, we could peel off the bottom of this. So these have a stick adhesive on them, so you can put the breadboard, if it's part of a setup that is operating a robot or something, you can pull that off and stick it onto your project, and so it won't move. But if you even pull this piece off below that, what you would see is a bunch of kind of metal clips. So there would be a metal clip here in this row with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 openings, and the same here for these. And I guess kind of the way that you think about this is, if you've got something in the same row, they're connected to one another. Like, in other words, they're both clipped into the same piece of metal. And then these out here, my understanding is that these are a kind of separate entity, and you use this for your positive, negative, your power. Okay, so at any rate, looking at this thing here, I've got, and maybe I want to zoom in even more. So I have a positive coming in. I'm in row 5. Okay, then I have my LED here also in row 5. So that's my break in my circuit. So just like the copper tape at this point, I started the positive, I'm going around this way, and just like my copper tape had a hole in it at this point with the LED in it, here I have the LED in the breadboard, and I'm still in row 5. And then here on this end now, I'm going to go to the negative. And now, since I'm in this same column, this negative is going to be connected to this negative. And I didn't mention this before. This wire is going to be connected to this positive. Now, backing back up a little higher now. So this is this Peg let me borrow this. It's supposed to be for a wearable, and I'm going to show you that in the last video. But I just got the idea. I had so much trouble working with batteries. You need to have 2 in a series. We saw that in the tinfoil to have enough voltage to light any of these LEDs. This is a 3-volt coin battery here, so it was much easier to work with. So I wanted to use that battery holder. And it might be hard to see from there, but this is marked with a positive here on this side. So I've got a positive here and a positive here. And just to mention real fast too, notice that these are just bare wires. So that's another thing that I learned in this is, just stripping wire with a pair of scissors, and that sometimes, just a bare wire is best, because in this case I can wrap it around here, I can still stick it in the hole, versus there are these kind of pre-made male to male and male to female jumper wires that come with breadboards like this, and this is just a little bit easier to work with. But I definitely need a pair of wire strippers as part of my regular tools. So at any rate, now it should be that if I touch this then now over to the negative over on either of these, it should light. And it does. So that was kind of a relief at this point, because I seem to have some, this wasn't the purpose that this thing was given to me. I seem to be able to transfer over the situation. So now I have the power source, the 3-volt coin battery. That's consistent. But this physically looks pretty different from the other circuits. But I'm now feeling good about how what I have here is the same thing. And one of my annoyances prior to this was that I felt like when I was doing this with some of the Raspberry Pi projects that I didn't have a great sense of how I was making a circuit here, a deep understanding. And now, we've done this. There's no controller. There's no Raspberry Pi here. We're just lighting this thing up from a battery, and we're just hooking it up in the same way we did. So the positive is going to go from the power here to here. I'm going to connect this. I've got a loop around. I have a break in it. What's the break that the current has to go through? It has to go through this LED. And now I'm over to the negative, and then I'm connected. This is negative, and that completes the circuit. So that works. So that is it for my circuit on a breadboard video. And I just have one more on an experiment we did with a wearable.